Hi, welcome. Today we will talk about an opening that probably you don't know. So I'm talking about the Hein Countergambit. So the Hein Countergambit is a counter-gambit to the Evans Gambit on the Italian game. So I've already shown here on the channel how to attack with the Evans Gambit and what are the principal plans, the most important ones to create damages to the black's pawn structure and win things, give checkmate, this kind of stuff. But when we play Evans with white, we want to play this opening because we want to attack. So normally this is the mindset of the player that plays the Evans with white. But what if you say, no, you're not going to attack me because I'm the master of my domain. And you do a counter gambit. What will be his reaction? Let's go to our video and let's see what is this Hein Countergambit. But before that, did you know that almost 87% of the viewers isn't subscribed? I don't know why don't you like me, because I'm a good person and my goal is you. I want you to improve. I want to help you to reach a higher level, reach the skies, and I want you to be happy. Let's be friends, so talk with me. If you have suggestions, put on the comments, talk with me, but by chess.com, dark underline attack, this kind of stuff. And don't forget, subscribe, because it's important for this channel to grow and for me too, because I will be happy to know that you are enjoying this content. So if you're enjoying, please subscribe, push the notifications on, push the like button, and say something, talk with me. So let's jump to our video, and don't forget, again, subscribe. So let's go. When we talk about this Hein Countergambit, well, the first thing, we will see, of course, this is Black's opening, and this is a reaction to the Evans Gambit. So e4, e5, knight, knight, and after bishop c4, this is the Italian. Black will answer with bishop c5, and I've received a lot of messages when I put it on the channel, the Evans Gambit, and everyone was in panic because the Evans, it's complicated to answer because after, for example, the b4, this is the Evans with white. If you didn't see, you can see here on the channel. And after bishop takes c3, bishop a5, d4, pawn takes, castle, etc. And this will be complicated. This is, for example, a variant, and, well, Black will suffer. This is a playable position for Black, but for an attacker player like, for example, me, I'm not seeing me playing this kind of defensive stuff. I consider myself a happy person, so I don't want to play this kind of stuff. This is ugly. So my suggestion will be a more interesting approach. So instead of accepting the Evans Gambit, I will suggest you to do a counter gambit, and we will be happy because we will play d5. Present you the Hein Countergambit. Beautiful stuff. And who should play it and why? Simple. Because we are the masters of our domain. So I don't accept anyone to tell me what to do when I'm playing chess. I want to force my opponents to do what I want to play. So if I'm playing with white, I'm going to do a gambit, I'm going to create damages, and I will be with a smile in my face attacking everyone and destroying the possessions. If I'm playing with black, I will look to my opponents, I will smile again, and when he does the gambit, I will do a counter gambit, and I will be happier than him. So the logic is this one. So when you do this kind of stuff, you're going to play a completely abstract game. And of course, it isn't easy. It is never easy. But like Mikhail Tal said, you need to, if you want to win the games, you need to put your opponent on a dark forest, and let's see who survives to this forest. So the logic is quite simple. And today, I hope you learn this very well, because this isn't easy stuff. But it's playable. If you put on the fish will say that this is completely playable. White has 0.3 or 0.2 of advantage, so it's a little bit nothing special. Who should play it? Aggressive players, players that like to have the initiative, players that likes to play abstract things, and this is a good opening to run to different things. So if you don't want to play a theoretical opening, this can be a good suggestion for you. So about our first topic, yes, I think we've already talked the sufficient. Now, let's see the variants. Well, the first idea, I think white can play pawn takes pawn. Next, we will see bishop taking the pawn, pawn taking the bishop. And in the end, it's a sideline, but we can see bishop b5 too. And then I want to compare our study, just for you to have an idea with the opening tree database. So you will want to see this until the end, because if you want to play this opening, it's important to see the statistics and see if the statistics are favorable for black or no. So let's go to our first variant. So after pawn takes, this is already a very strange position. So of course, we gave up a pawn, and now we will recover taking with the knight. And the first things that comes to my mind is that white can try to win material or win the center. And it's very important. If you are thinking that, oh, this is weird and I won't be improving my level with this, probably you don't have enough potential, because this kind of opening will help you to improve your positional play, because you need to evaluate very well what kind of pieces you want to exchange and the pieces you want to maintain on the chessboard. So this is very important for you to improve your positional play. So the first approach can be to try to take the pawn. So with ideas of playing d4, this kind of stuff. So after knight takes e5, here my suggestion is to play bishop d4. And we are already playing for the tactics. So here the computers say the position is completely playable, but believe in me, the white player won't be happy if he doesn't know this theory, and nobody knows this theory. This isn't common. So here probably he will need to play c3, I think. I don't know, probably some mad players can try to sacrifice the knight. I don't know, I've already seen lots of weird things. So let's see, after c3, this is a fork. And of course, we can take the knight. And after pawn taking the knight, of course, bishop can take the rook, and we will win material. We are winning by 4 full points. Of course, this pawn cannot take, so we can see two approaches: queen attacking the bishop, or even pawn attacking the bishop. If the queen plays to e2, attacking the bishop is pinned because of the presence of the king. So here we will play queen to e7, and the idea is that this pawn cannot take the knight, and for example, even if white plays d4, we can continue taking this pawn. Because after, for example, queen takes queen, knight takes, pawn takes bishop, for example, will lead to a completely disastrous game for white, because we will win the rook, winning at least 2 full points. So this position is won for black. So going back, this is complicated. The other idea after c3 can be just to do another stuff. c3, bishop takes, and here we will play, for example, d4 instead of playing queen to c2. And okay, here the position is different, because probably the position is completely equal, because I will suggest you to play queen to h4, because we want to develop and we want to create problems. For example, if pawn takes bishop, the idea is just to create this problem. Queen check, attacking this pawn. Why not taking the bishop? Well, the answer is simple. This is playable, but after queen to a4, this knight will be lost and we won't be having counterplay. So the difference is that we can play this, and for example, if queen plays to e2, we have a very, very, very big advantage, in my opinion, because we can take on g2, and after rook plays to f1, we can continue with, for example, knight takes d5, because the queen is protecting the pawn. So we have won 1 full point. White doesn't have advantage, the king is exposed, and the structure is completely broken. This is weak, this is weak, this is weak, this is weak, and this is weak. So this is a terrible position for white. We will win this game. So going back, we've already seen that the knight, yes, can take this pawn, but it isn't easy. And if you put on the engine, white doesn't have enough to try to win this game. It will be a double-edged game with potential for both sides. In my opinion, is easier for black. So the other approach can be just to play, for example, c3. I think this will be very common. So we've already seen knight taking the pawn. So let's see, if white plays c3, of course, we can take this pawn. This pawn needs to be taken. And after, for example, knight takes pawn on e5, again, probably this is an ambitious approach for white, but I don't know if this is good. Serious. I would be afraid of take this pawn. Here, we can continue, for example, with knight f6, developing our pieces. Don't forget that the material is even, so we can continue with any problems playing a normal game. But in my opinion, we can continue, in my opinion, playing, is this position? We can continue, in my opinion, playing a normal position with any problems. Because here, after, for example, queen f4, trying to create problems, we defend with c6, and we aren't losing. And if white tries to win something, probably we will win material, because we can take the knight, and okay, we can take the bishop, and this is, in my opinion, easier for black. For example, if you want, you can take, but it's not necessary. We can first play bishop h3, and after, for example, rook plays somewhere, we can continue with rook to someplace. Even this is good, because even g6, I think we don't have any problem, but probably I would be playing that. And we are losing by 1 point, but look at the pawn structure of the white player. This is terrible, triple pawns, terrible, everything is terrible, and we are losing by 1 point. Our structure is superior. Of course, you can be always taking this pawn and the material will be even. And another thing, the probability of drawing this game is very high, because we are playing an endgame of opposite colored bishops. So the probability of playing a draw is very, very big. So again, we will not have problems playing this kind of position. You need to play correctly, of course, because this is a double-edged game. So if you fail one move, you will lose this game. But if white fails first, white will lose the game. So it's an opening that you need to have a big heart, and you need to deal with a lot of pressure. And if you like the adrenaline and play with pressure and playing completely mad positions, this is for you. This is for you. This is great. So we are seeing always pawn takes. We have a lot of material here. So what if, okay, knight takes, we've already seen knight taking, the pawn here. What if white castle kingside makes the castle? Here, of course, we will always be taking. And again, I want to see always the knight taking the pawn, because probably is the most difficult lines for black. And here, again, it's the same. We don't need to be afraid, because after d4, bishop, queen, it's the same. It's completely equal. What if white doesn't play? Knight takes pawn. He can, for example, place first d4. Pawn advances to try to expose the king, giving check, this kind of stuff. Okay, let's take. If rook attacks the king, we will play knight e7. In my opinion, probably is the easiest way of playing this position. And after bishop a3 to try to create any problems on the diagonal, we can take. And after knight takes, the position is strange. Black is winning by 2 points. About the positional evaluation, I believe that black is better, because we are winning by 2 points, and the most important thing is that now we can castle, so our king isn't exposed. And don't forget about the pawn structure, because when you play the opening, one of the important things is that we need to have good pawn structure. You want to have mobility for your pieces, you want to have the initiative, you want your king to be safe. And here we have this all, and we have material advantage. So in my opinion, you don't need to be afraid of this. Okay, so about the first line, I think it's good. We don't need to be afraid of anything that starts with e4 taking d5. Don't forget, knight takes next, and you don't need to be afraid of this, neither the castle. I want to show you just one quick line on this e takes d. Knight c3. If white plays knight c3, I will recommend you to play knight f6. And after, for example, knight takes, we always see this stuff, because I think the most probable move will be that we continue with bishop attacking both knights. Don't forget this idea, because bishop d4, it's always interesting for black. So after bishop a3, we castle. And I love this variation, because the idea is, if bishop takes knight, we will continue with rook e8 attacking the knights, because the knight is pinned. So, for example, ideas of f4, they aren't easy, because you can continue with c5. What is the idea? For example, if white takes en passant, we can take now the knight, and after pawn takes, here this will be very complicated because of queen d4, and this pawn is pinned. We are attacking the bishop, and the other one is being indirectly attacked too by the queen. So because of that, we were losing by 5 points. But this isn't easy, because white cannot castle because of the presence of the queen. And if queen plays, for example, here, yeah, this will be a blunder, because we will win material. So this is already a very complicated position for white. Even though white is winning by 5 points, if you put on the fish will say this is completely equal. So this is completely playable for black. And I'm not sure what is the best approach for white. Probably I don't know, probably bishop d6 to try to not to lose something, but not forget the queen can take the bishop, and we are threatening always to take the pawn. And right now white is winning by 2 points, but this pawn can be taken, this one can be taken, this bishop isn't well placed here, and the king is on the center. So this is all very complicated for white. So we've already seen the first lines with pawn takes pawn, and well, we are already with 20 minutes, so it's better to go to the next variation. The next variation is bishop takes d5. This is easier, and in my opinion is prettier for black, because of course we will be always taking this pawn on b4, and after knight takes, we need to see always that, because here white is threatening to take the f7 pawn with the bishop or with the knight. Here we will play queen to g5, and if you've seen the gambits that we have put it here on the channel, you will recognize the patterns, because here the idea is quite simple. If knight takes on f7, we will continue with very big advantage, because queen will take on g2, and after, for example, rook plays to f1, here we can win this game with knight takes bishop. And imagine if knight takes rook, we can continue with a very good game. Bishop h3, threatening to give checkmate, and after, for example, queen tries to protect the rook on e2, we can continue with knight f4. Now look, the queen is the only piece that can defend, because the king, if the queen takes, the queen is being protected by the bishop. So this isn't available, but this one is, and this one is too. So let's see this move. We will play c6, and the idea is quite simple. If queen plays bishop, queen takes rook, checkmate, it's over. So we have won the game. And if the queen plays, for example, to c4, the idea is just to do whatever you want. I want to castle queenside, so I will be castling queenside. Because here I'm losing by 3 points, but how do you evaluate this position? For me, this is completely won for black, because again, the queen cannot take. This knight, okay, we can see this knight trying to run away because he is afraid. And we will give checkmate here too on this position, because first we will need to arrange a way of take the rook without the queen taking next. So the idea is just to play knight to d3. Now, well, the queen needs to take, because after rook takes, pawn takes, of course, knight check. I don't know, the computers say this, okay, this is the only move, and after pawn takes, something like that, this is checkmate. So this is terrible for white. So it's quite simple. This move of queen g5 is too strong, and well, when I analyze this variation, I think, okay, the knight cannot take, but bishop can take because this is a check. Nah, this isn't true, because we will play king to e7. Do you want to attack me? Attack me, please. And after bishop goes away, here we will win again. We can take this, but this one probably will be better. The two variants win, but this one we are winning by material, 1 full point, and we are threatening to take this pawn, and we are ahead on the development. So this is quite strong for black. So about these lines, this is very complicated. So what can white do? So, well, probably knight taking isn't good, because we have these ideas with queen g5. So we can see, for example, bishop going back to c4. And here we will have a pretty normal game, because we can play knight f6 again. If this knight plays takes the pawn on e5, we will win this game with knight d4, threatening checkmate and attacking all of the white's pieces. Of course, here we can see again bishop taking, but well, king e7, and we will win material. And again, knight cannot take because this is checkmate. So this is too strong. So again, to take this pawn is never good for white. At least it's complicated because black will have always counter play. That's the reason this is a counter gambit. So again, let's see. What if white castles kingside? Well, here we will continue with knight c6, and now we have a completely normal game. Let's see probably one of the most ambitious way of playing with white. c3 with d4, like the gioco piano, this kind of stuff. Here we will castle. I think probably is the easier way of continuing that. And let's see. If this pawn advances 1, 2, 3 attackers, 1, 2, 3 defenders. So this is an available move. We just need to count the attackers and count the defenders. And after that, black will be better because this pawn is ours. But okay, what if white advances first the pawn? Intermezzo move. Well, knight g4, pawn takes, and okay, knight takes on g4, and we have won something, no? Because this isn't an available move. We will win the rook. So this isn't good. So what is the alternative? Well, the alternative is to play a kind of gioco pianissimo on the Italian. It's similar. But in my opinion, isn't good for white because, well, I've already have a file open to the d3 pawn. This is a problem for white. And here, in my opinion, we can play something like queen e7, rook d8, and try to increase the pressure on the d3 pawn. So, in my opinion, this is an easy game for black. You won't be worse, and at least this game is completely equal. So, any problem for black here. So, let's go back. And again, if bishop takes, knight takes, and we have seen bishop c4, we have seen knight taking. Let's see another approach. For example, castle. I think those three lines are always ideas. So here, of course, knight takes, and after pawn takes, again, we can take, but probably isn't the best idea because queen takes, knight takes. If queen takes, we have rook. So we need to be always careful playing this kind of openings because this is a double-edged game. So here, in my opinion, probably the easiest way of playing this position is first to block the knight. So we want this knight to be here forever because the knight can take the pawn. And probably white will continue with this kind of stuff or bishop b2 to create pressure on the pawn. And okay, in my opinion, right now, this is already playable because if rook takes, queen takes, knight takes, and bishop takes takes queen, so we will win material. And if bishop plays, for example, to b2 to try to increase the pressure on this pawn, well, you can always take because rook takes, queen takes, bishop takes, and bishop takes again. And if, for example, queen takes, here we can continue with queen takes. And for example, if rook takes, we will continue with knight e7. And if pawn takes, here the material is even again, and we can continue with bishop d6. Looks strange, but you don't need to be afraid because even the move rook to g5 is completely playable because you're going to castle queenside. After, for example, bishop takes. Yes, you're losing by 1 point, but you have a lots of potential because the rook will attack the bishop, and even bishop playing to f6, we can take because the bishop will be pinned and we will win material next. So this move, it's always complicated to play, and even this capture isn't easy because we will play this again, and after rook takes, king plays, for example, to h1, and okay, we have knight g6, and we will create problems on this pawn. And don't forget, white isn't winning on the development. White has some problems to solve. For example, after knight c3 to try to open the rook, we can play knight h4, attacking the pawn, and this isn't a defendable pawn. And don't forget, the structure in this case, in my opinion, is worse for white, because white has 1, 2, 3, 4 islands, and black has 1, 2, 3. So the more islands you have, the worse will be your pawn structure. Normally we see this kind of calculation. We do this kind of calculation. So let's go back. So we've already seen another variant. So we've seen pawn takes and bishop takes. Now let's go to the next point. So the next point is a very interesting one. What if pawn takes bishop? Super creative. What will you do? Well, in this case, it's kind of easy, because first, yeah, we will take the bishop, of course. And look at these pawns. They are strange. But I have good news for you. This is better for black. So if your opponent plays that, you already know you're better. So you're not one, but you're better. If your opponent plays knight a3, he will be cheating. This is sure. This is certain. In my opinion, probably the most common way of continuing will be with the castle kingside and bishop b2. We will see that. So if bishop plays to b2, the idea will be to create pressure on the central pawn. So here, we have several different approaches. In my opinion, f6 is always ugly because of the knight. You will have difficulties to develop the knight. So we will be playing queen to e7. And after, for example, castle kingside, the idea is just to take on c5, and we are winning by 1 point. Another alternative can be, for example, just to try to maintain this pawn. But, well, this is complicated. Again, we want to pin this knight. We want this knight fixed. And after castle kingside, again, okay, the material is even, but look at the position. It's easier for us to create problems on the white pieces than the opposite. It isn't easy for white to attack our pieces. So for this reason, in my opinion, this is already better for black. For example, knight takes, pawn takes, and bishop. And yeah, we are already threatening very, very nice things, because this is already checkmate. So this Hein Countergambit, it's interesting, because we will create problems if our opponent doesn't know how to play this kind of stuff. So again, well, what if white plays castle kingside? He is afraid of us. So he plays the castle kingside. Well, if white does that, we can continue a normal development with any problems. So knight f6, we are threatening to take the pawn. For example, rook defending the pawn, and bishop g4 again. I think these are always ideas. After bishop to e2, we don't need to be afraid. Queen to e7, we will take this pawn, sorry, and after that we will play a superior position with an advantage, and a material advantage. So again, this position is better for black. So last line, this one I think is very uncommon, because, well, the last line is bishop to b5. So I don't know. A person that plays bishop d5 is a person with problems, because I don't believe that this is playable for white, because it's at least strange, and I don't think this is an ambitious move. So here, my suggestion is just to sack the bishop. So after bishop takes on f2, well, white will need to take. And what is our goal? Well, it's simple, to take on e4. Oh, but knight can't take because the knight is pinned. This isn't true. We can play queen d4 and we will everything. Yeah, it's almost Christmas, so we will win everything because our opponent will give a lot of presents. So this is completely won. So after, for example, king to f1, this can continue with queen takes on e5, and after that, knight to c3, we can continue with queen to f6. So in my opinion, this is position better, superior for black. So this is very good. So let's go back. And what is the alternative? For example, bishop b5. And here, well, after bishop takes on b2, king takes, pawn takes, we can see, for example, ideas of, instead of knight taking on e5, we can continue with rook to e1. So after rook e1, what can we do? Well, talking about material, white is winning by 1 point. So because of that, okay, we need to be cautious. And in my opinion, okay, knight to f6 is an idea, is completely normal. We are protecting this pawn. And I believe that white will need to do something with the knight. Why not taking? It's quite simple. This is playable for black, but I don't want the white pieces to break all the pawn structure and to have counterplay. For this reason, in my opinion, yes, we are winning by 1 point, but we don't need to take any risks. So after knight f6, bishop b2 to try to create problems on the pawn, and I don't believe that lots of players will play this kind of stuff, because in my opinion, just the computers play this kind of style. So yeah, we can take and okay, I don't know, bishop takes on c6, pawn takes, and rook takes probably, and we are winning by 1 point. But bishop e6, and again, this is a completely mad position, but in my opinion, it's playable for black. In this case, the pawn structure is completely broken, but yeah, it's completely playable in my opinion. So, well, we've seen a lot of different variants on this Hein Countergambits, but is this playable? The best way of compare is with the, for example, Opening Tree website, because they show us the statistics and if this is good or bad for black. So let's evaluate the Hein Countergambit. So let's go. So, well, of course, we will see very quickly because of the length of the video. And okay, let's go. e4, e5, knight, bishop, and bishop. And after b4, we need to see first and compare the statistics of the Hein Countergambits. d5, 52% is the best evaluation of all. The level, the medium level is 2004 of rating. The others isn't so high. So for this reason, this is already winning the competition. So after d5, the most common way of playing this is with pawn takes, 2020. The second, 1980, c3 is strange, too strange. It's 55 for black, of course. This is good for black. So 209, of course, this is the worst. Are you seeing 55%? And bishop b5, very weird. Just 14 games, so I don't know if this is reliable. So let's see if it takes the continuation. Gives advantage for black, and the most common way is playing c3. Of course, the others are better for black, and c3 gives 48% for black and 48% for white. Here, normally knight takes, and after, okay, they play d4. d4 is strange, but the statistics say that knight takes e5 is better for black. Do you remember what was the best move? Yes, is this one, knight to f6. And after d4, we will play No, bishop e7, not bishop e7, but bishop d6. And this is completely playable. What is the level of the black's player? Is 2037. So completely playable for black. So let's see the other variations. What if, for example, bishop takes pawn? Here we will take, and the statistics are better for black in all variations. About the other lines, pawn takes with pawn takes, here again, as you're seeing, black wins more than white. Is completely disastrous for whites. And finally, the last variation with bishop b5. Well, we don't have enough games to evaluate that, but we know that are played by almost 2100 players. So after bishop takes, no, this is the correct answer. And okay, we don't have enough games, but the statistics are better for white. But look at this. Knight takes, we have seen that. Okay, this is an idea, but queen is probably better, no? So this is very interesting. And let's see, another alternative. Bishop takes on c6, pawn takes, pawn takes, pawn takes, and queen takes. Wow, 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 wow. Yeah, probably I would play a queen to d5, and in my opinion, this is completely playable for black. So we've seen a lot of stuff in this 40 minutes of Hein Countergambit. Now I need to have your feedback. What do you think about this completely mad Countergambit? In my opinion, this is completely playable for black. Probably you will not want to play this 3 or 4 times in a row because you will be studied. And this, in my opinion, this is great for players that likes to take risks. So if you are willing to take risks, let's go. And if you play that in an official game and you learned here, please put on the comments, because I want to see your game. And even if the game is good, we can analyze here on the channel. And I can do later a compilation with all of the materials that you put on the comments. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This was our opening theory, sorry, of these weeks. I want to do a new video about the Italian, probably on the lolly, but I enjoy a lot the Scottish Gambit, the Goring Gambit. So if you have any suggestion on those gambits for white, please tell me something, and I can do this material here even this week. So have a good night till tomorrow. Tomorrow at the same hour I will be here to give you more chess. Till tomorrow. Bye bye.